Please welcome to the stage, Mary Say!
So I think the two big things that you need to know to really have an idea of who I am is, one, that I love weirdos. Like, those are my people. That is what I've grown up in. And also, I'm a sex nerd. And to give you an idea of what that means, in college, I took a class called Sexual Diversity in Society, and even my parents were like, couldn't you like teach that? It's kind of a gimme class for you. And I maybe couldn't teach it, but I'd be a really good PA, because anything we talked about, I had some kind of firsthand experience of. So, we'd be talking about like trans people. I'd be like, well, when my dad became a woman, and we'd talk about like sex work, and I'd be like, well, when I was a phone sex worker last summer, and we were talking about body modifications for some reason, and my teacher brought up like amputation fetishists, and the other students were like, that's not a thing. And I was like, no, I'm friends with one. I'm kidding. He was more of a friend of a friend. So when I became a dominatrix, literally no one was surprised, like even a tiny bit. And I was so happy because I just got to be surrounded by weirdos. Not just the clients, but the people I worked with were also complete weirdos. One of them was a former debutante who every week came in with a news story about like a fight she'd gotten into at Mars Bar. And another one was a Russian performance artist who recently became famous for letting Usher charge his phone in her vagina. Seriously. So I was always up for something new and fun and bizarre. So when our phone girl said, do you do sweater fetish? I was like, I don't know what that is, but yes. I made sure that it was something I could actually do. He was going to bring the sweaters. Sweater was not slang for anything else. It was just wearing sweaters. And a lot of being a dom, a professional dom, is just giving it the old college try. Like, there's no way to prepare for absolutely everything. You just have to like be on your toes and be like, yes, I can. Sure, you want to pretend I'm a pirate queen? Great, that sounds fun. You want me to find you in the female supremacist library? And sure, I'll fuck you up the ass while you read Andrea Dworkin. Awesome! I really loved that session. And also this was a fetishist, and fetishists usually really know what they want. It's not like someone that I'm gonna come in and they're like, dominate me, which, what does that even mean? It means so many things. But fetishists are like, I want this, this, and this. I want you to be kneeling so that your ass is right next to your feet, and I want you to be facing away from me so I can look at your feet and your ass and jerk off at the same time. Boom, done, easy session. So I figure this shouldn't be too hard. Something with sweaters, sure, we'll figure out how that's sexy. So I get up in my dom gear and my sexy hair and makeup, and I walk in with all my attitude and say hello, and he does not care. He does not like register sexiness at all. He's just like, oh great, hi, good to meet you, looking forward to working with you. Here, I'd like you to wear this. So he just gives me a bag with some clothes, and I go back to the office to get changed. And I put on like an Angora butter yellow sweater, like high-necked down to my ankle or down to my wrists, and something I've never seen before or since, a full-length sweater skirt. Like, yeah, has anyone ever heard of that? No. And I've thought about this, and I have a theory, because all the sweaters he brought were in bags from a nearby thrift store, and he mentioned being from out of town, and also he was super cute, so I wasn't really sure why he was going to a dominatrix in the first place. But I think what happened was he was on a trip to New York. He was just, in a thrift store, strolling through the sweater aisle, and suddenly, like, the lights shone and the choirs started singing, and there was the holy grail of his fetish gear. It was like giant sweater that would just cover me from waist to ankle. And he was like, I need a dominatrix right now. So I get dressed and I start walking out through the office, and one of the other girls goes, so what is this, like grandma fetish? And I'm like, no, weirder. So I walk in and he has also dressed up. He's wearing a sweater, not a huge surprise there. But he also has like a sweater on his legs, like he's like put his legs through the armholes, and like the head hole is kind of like down around his junk. And not what you're thinking, his junk was not coming out of the sweater. There were more sweaters in there, wrapped around. So I've got a pretty clear idea of how this is supposed to go down. He also likes tease and denial, and I'm a burlesque performer, so I can do that like all day. So I'm like tying him up and playing with his nipples and like putting my boobs up against his face and just covering him with sweaters and like tying a sweater around his face. And he is happy as a pig in shit. I have never seen anyone so happy in my life. Because like a fetish is like a sex button. A lot of people like you need a drink and a nice dinner and some good conversation, but like fetishists, it's like, do you have a belly button? Cool, show it to me. Yes, into it. So he's just like on cloud 9. And as we're going through this, I'm having a great time. He's like so into it that I'm really into it. And he's really cute. Like if you Google sexy nerd guy, you find someone who looks a lot like him. We're having a great time. And then he's like, oh, I forgot to mention before, I'm really into public humiliation. And I'm like, yes! And I run back into the office and I'm like, guys, you have to see this because I need witnesses. And like the public humiliation thing was pretty normal. You'd just be like on your computer or whatever. Someone would come back and be like, I need a couple people. And you'd walk in and be like, oh, ooh, look at the pervert, and leave. And so everyone's ready for that, and they walk in and they all just kind of stop. And they're like, oh, what do we have here? And they kind of got back into the swing of oh, look at the pervert, what's going on? And then they leave again, and we keep going. And he's so fucking happy. And he's also really into ass smothering. So I put him down on the floor, and I sit on his face, and like, normally ass smothering is a little weird, for me at least, because for a sex worker, I'm kind of prudish. Like, I'm only a dom. If I'm sitting on your face, it's just to take away your breath with my ass. I don't want you to like try and pleasure me, and a lot of guys try and do that. So it's a weird proposition, because you're like, I'm gonna sit on your face, but don't make it weird. But like, now we're in the world of sweaters, and everything is kind of like cute and wholesome, and there's like this much sweater between my ass and his face. So I don't care what he's doing. I'm just like, yeah, go wild, buddy, have a great time. I can't even tell what you're doing. And so he's humping the air, and I realize that this is how he gets off, right? Like he just like moves, and there's like enough sweater friction to, do its thing. So I'm sitting on his face and calling him a pervert, and he's humping the air, and then suddenly my boss walks in. And this happens a lot more than you would think at a dom house. It's basically a French farce waiting to happen. You have a lot of closed doors, and you don't know what's behind them all the time. So you get really good at just kind of opening the door and going, oh, whoops, and silently closing the door again. And my boss, he owns the dungeon. He's owned it for like 5 or 6 years at this point. So he's really good at that. So he opens up the door and he stops. And is just frozen by what he sees before him, and is like trying to figure out what's going on. But I'm in the middle of a session and we're kind of building towards something. So I just kind of wave, and he shakes himself out of it and closes the door and leaves. And luckily, this guy has a face full of ass and sweater, and my thighs are around his ears, so he doesn't know. And like he's going on and having a great time, and I just realized like this is my life. I exist in this insane and wonderful, like random and infinite universe where anything can happen. And that's what I really love about being a Dom, is that like no matter how long you've been doing this, there's always something new and exciting to stumble upon. And so like we finally come to the culmination of the session, and he comes, and I realize the best thing about this sweater fetish is he has just had this huge, amazing, filthy, sexy, satisfying orgasm, and I don't have to clean it up.